Welcome to episode 2, series 2 of our podcast, Sage's Retreat, home of all things dad and games related, with current events along with anything else that we can think of. My name's Nathan, and this is my co-host Lee.
Howdy!
And today is the continuation of a series looking in depth at a particular console with our thoughts and memories of it. Today's episode is a bit different to the normal, as we are covering 3 consoles in one today. We are talking about the NES, SNES and 64. But first, I said that I'd do a shout out to someone because a couple of weeks ago we did the Christmas episode and I mentioned that a certain toy was my favourite toy from my childhood, and then it was my birthday the other week, and my little brother Joe, who watches us quite often, suggested to my mum that she should buy these. Yeah, hello Joe, cheers.
Hi Joe.
This is what they got me. First time I've shown some on screen, but I don't know if you can see very well. But got me some Action Men, which I'm right.
They're amazing. They're amazing. It's like if someone bought me those, it's the pinnacle of a thoughtful present, isn't it?
It proper made me smile, so I'm right chuffed about that.
It made me smile. They weren't even mine.
I know, yeah. Well, you'll get to bask in the glory of them.
Yes, I'm gonna play with them.
Yeah.
When I come around, I'm gonna be like, oh my god! I'm gonna get a
can
Barbie and they can have like a fight or something.
We'll have to buy a Jeep and take it out in garden and play there.
We're doing it.
Yeah,
we're doing it.
definitely.
We'll do like an action scene.
Yeah, 100%.
Lino sitting in one side, looking kind of, where am I? What am I doing here? But yeah, brilliant present.
Yep, cheers, Joe. But without further ado, Lee, do you want to talk to us about the NES?
Yeah, sure. But like I say, this is a kind of a Nintendo special. We're not. The thing is about me and Nathan, we weren't like Nintendo boys and growing up. We had experiences of the NES, the SNES, and the N64, which we're all covering today. But I didn't own any of those consoles. And did you own any of those consoles?
I owned the NES and the N64, but I was very young when we had the NES and we didn't have many games, and I got the NES late on. I think the Saturn were out when I got them around about that time, so it was late on, and I didn't really have that many games for it.
But yeah, I didn't own any of them. However, I did experience them through other people. Starting off with the NES. Came out in quick facts. 1985 it came out. At the time, it was $199. Now these are dollars, so Brian, if you're listening, we're repping that dollar for you, mate.
Specifically for Brian.
Yeah. So it was $199. Now, if you convert that over to how much we'd spend on it now, it's $478. Would you buy a console for $400? Well, clearly people would buy a console as per what's happening at the moment. But that's a good price. And I guess, back in those days, it would have been as expensive as buying one now, except, of course, you'd get a lot less. For me and the NES... So I'm just kind of like digging into those memories and instantly, not talking about the very few games that I played on it, I instantly just think of the iconic way it looks. Anyone, even us like young kids now, will see a NES and be like, oh, Nintendo. Because it's a pop culture item. You see it on T-shirts, you see it everywhere, don't you? It pops up in modern day video games. You'll see it as an item in a corner, or it's always, I don't know, it's always looked back on. And I think the NES, of course, if we just jump over to Sega, I mean, the Sega alternative with Sega would have been the Master System, but no one looks at a Master. You look at a Master System and go, what's that? But you look at a NES and instantly, bam, it's there. Everyone knows what a NES is. And then the other iconic item which goes with it. I know there was that little robot. Now, you see, one thing about this podcast, we're not digging into a lot of facts. So we're not going to be spieling. So we're not going to go, oh, there was this robot. It was called Thingy, and it came out on this. It's not about that. It's about what we remember. And what I remember is the light gun. Now I do know that light gun originally didn't look like that. It looked more like a real gun. It ended up changing and now it's don't you call it the Zapper? Don't you refer to it as like the Zapper?
Yeah.
Such a good looking light gun. You still see that design imitated now. You see it it's often a special in a game, isn't it? You'd be playing a game and then you'd be like, you get this special gun, and it won't be called the Nintendo, Zapper or light gun, but it will be something like that, and it's amazing. As soon as you see it, you go, "Oh, it's the Nintendo gun." I love it. And the game that, of course, went along with it was Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
And saying that quick doesn't sound very good. Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
Duck Hunt. I'm going to say it slowly. Duck Hunt. So I remember sitting, a friend of mine which had it, the NES was Edward, who I used to go to school with, Edward Toppin. I doubt you're catching this podcast. I don't think he really goes on Facebook, so he wouldn't see it really through there. I remember sitting in front of his TV. He had like this really big TV. And I would sit there with this light gun, and I would be like, man, and I'd be shooting these ducks that were going across the screen, and there was that dog as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And it was an experience. It was that kind of that extra level of interaction. Of course, everyone knows the little square controller that they had, the little joypad, which, you know, fundamentally, I don't know if it was the first one. That would be something interesting to look at in more of a history terms. But, you know, you all know that he had the D-pad, which I think they copyrighted, didn't they? So you can't have that specific D as a main pad or something. I can't remember what it was now. And then you had the two buttons, and like, what did you need? You had jump, and you had like attack.
Yeah.
And that's or something else equally simple. But that's all you needed in those days. You didn't need 4 buttons plus the shoulder buttons plus everything else that goes on. Obviously, games have come a long way since then. But yeah, that little zapper that did the job, and you'd play for quite a while. You'd always try to beat your score, or you'd sit with a friend, and there was no online scoring. Obviously, you could sit with your friend and you try and beat the score as well. Do you remember Duck Hunt? Did you ever play that?
Yeah, I can remember playing that, and I did quite enjoy Duck Hunt, because it were like playing an arcade game at home, weren't it, with gun and everything. So
It led me on to really enjoying like Time Crisis.
Yeah,
you know, like in the arcade with that pink. One was pink and one was blue.
Yeah.
They probably weren't allowed one to look like a real gun or something. Oh, yeah, because they could clearly look like a real gun. But then again, in this country, we wouldn't know, because we don't have guns. We don't go around like shooting each other, do we? That's not really our thing. Well, you know, most of us anyway. Yeah. But yeah, the NES. The other game that I played would have been Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, as we all can relate to, as being, you know, probably one of the. It wasn't the first game with Mario, was it? Was that Donkey Kong? I think he was in, wasn't it? First, but...
No. I always forget the name. It weren't Donkey Kong. It was something else. It weren't called Mario anyway. It was called something else. My mate's going to kill me that knows all the facts about it.
Oh, I know. There's always something you miss out on.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean by this, Cass, is we're not looking for those really heavy facts. It's not about trying to learn something other than what other people experience with these, you know, with these awesome old things.
It's our muddy memories and our experiences with it. So there's no. If we say something and it's wrong, then it's wrong. There's no about it.
If it's wrong, you're more than welcome to, you know, drop a comment somewhere. You can do it on Facebook, or you could do it on YouTube. You're more than welcome to do it, and we'll correct ourselves next time.
Yeah.
If we get enough of them, we'll be like, all right, someone corrected us. But yeah, that's more or less my experience of the NES. It's, you know, it's little. It's just something that, and I would love one. I'd love one. I would. But I'd have it to put on a shelf. You know, I wouldn't. It's nothing I'd perhaps want to play. But yeah, that's my NES. What about yourself with the NES? Are you as limited as I am?
I'm as limited as you, but I've got one more game that I've played.
What?
That's it. So
one more.
Yeah, it's because it was a very early console for me. It weren't my first console. I think that might have been Master System for the Mega Drive. But I got sort of tricked into getting it. If my mum's listening and see if she can remember, she might know the real reason. But we were supposed to get it for one Christmas, because me and my brother always used to get a console or something whenever one come out or whatever for Christmas, and it was like a shared present.
Always the main present, and it's like everyone plays on it. There's 2 joypads, just put up with it.
Yeah, exactly. And we'd been begging her since SNES came out that we wanted the SNES. And we got the NES instead of the SNES, and she went, "Oh, it's just the same thing." And obviously, when you say that to a kid, that is not the same thing. That's 100%
Nope.
not. And I can remember being quite peed off about it. But looking back, I think there were not loads of better games for NES, but
Was it that crossover period where the SNES had come out and the NES was still selling?
yeah, but cheaper. I think that's what it were. I don't know whether. I mean, my mum will have to correct me. I don't know whether it was a money issue at the time for buying SNES, so she got its NES. But I still liked it anyway. But we didn't, because it was quite expensive in all the games. We only had 2 games that I can remember, and one of them Super Mario, which you've already mentioned. Me and my brother used to play that constantly.
Yeah.
And the other one, which I wish to this day we had kept somewhere because they're quite rare, was the Legend of Zelda gold cartridge. It was like a shiny sort of gold.
Isn't that one of those really collectible things?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hate that I don't have that anymore. And I used to love that Legend of Zelda, but I couldn't do it because I was only like, I don't know, 6 or something, and it was a very difficult game. And then my last game was Mega Man. And
Okay.
I only played on that at my aunt's house because she had a NES as well, and she wouldn't let us borrow it because the games were that expensive, and she thought we might break it. But I used to play it all the time at my aunt's house, and yeah, we didn't have any games really. Looking back, literally they're the only 2 games I can remember we owned, and then playing one at my aunt's house. So the SNES is not. The NES, sorry, is not something that's firmly lodged in my childhood mind of having lots of games.
Yeah. I think that's your experience is very similar. Despite you owning it, I think it's very similar to mine. Played it at several people's houses, mainly at one, but yeah, that's pretty much us and the SNES. If that's disappointing, then so be it. But that's it. I mean, I could probably talk quite a lot about the Master System, which was obviously the alternative Sega one, but yeah, for me it was Master System. But this is about the NES and the fact that it doesn't mean like emotionally I'm not connected to it at all. I get the iconic nature of it, but as for my memories are just pretty bland. So that's the NES. I'm pretty sure that's done on the NES, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
What's next?
Right, so we've got the SNES, or Super Nintendo, as it's properly called.
SNES.
Yeah, SNES. Nobody ever
SNES.
calls it Super Nintendo, but
More.
yeah.
Might do.
This is a console that I thought came out a lot later. It came out in 1991. I mean, this could have been a regional thing. We're between America and Japan and us. We maybe got it late, but I would have, if someone would have asked me, I would have said 93 or 4 maybe, but that's when I remember it. But it was 1991. It also retailed for $199, and surprisingly, that's for some reason that's worth less than the NES, which this is $376.99 in today's money. The NES is worth, which is less than the SNES. Sorry, which is less than the NES.
I wonder why. I wonder if they developed it. The technology. Maybe that it was cheaper.
Yeah,
it's only $100 cheaper.
Yeah,
but it was the same. It was. I mean, the release price was the same. So in a way, it makes sort of sense, doesn't it? It's like as a replacement, and it being the same price but better is what you kind of want, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I wonder if it had. They kind of mastered it, and it came out. Maybe technology had took a big leap or something.
Yeah, or they piggybacked off old NES technology in some way that made it cheaper. I'm not sure. It's a strange one. I would have thought it was quite expensive because at the time I remember the adverts for it. It were like super futuristic, and the console was all smooth, and it had different colours in like America and stuff. Like the disc tray and the buttons and stuff, and not the disc tray, the cartridge flaps.
The flappy bits. Yeah. In America, it was grey and it had purple buttons. And to be honest with you, I think it looks very industrial. But it also looks. I'm going to be honest. I think it looks a bit crap.
Yeah.
And I think the controller had 2 grey buttons and 2 purple buttons. This is going off memory. Whereas the EU version, do I say the European version, was the one with the. I don't know about Japan, but I know that had the 4 colours, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which let's be honest, it looks better.
It did look better, loads better.
The actual console, I think, looked better as well. Like I say, it was smooth. It was kind of curvy and drew you in. It was kind of beautiful, and it was different to the NES because the SNES. Sorry, the going back to America, their one, the Nintendo was square and blocky. The NES, the SNES was square and blocky.
Yeah.
But we had this it was different.
Yeah.
It was nice. I liked it. It's good. I liked our version better. Yeah. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah. It weren't a console I owned, obviously because my mum bought me a NES. But
messed up there.
But looking, I had a quick look before we started. Well, when we were talking about doing this one, trying to remember games that I played on it, and I know we just picked up on one before we started, which was the Turtles one, which I'm pretty sure it was the NES, the SNES. We're just going to keep mixing them up until we move to Nintendo 64.
That's what we're doing.
We're talking about the SNES, so if I say NES, then I mean SNES, but that's it.
Just feel free to keep correcting yourself as you're going along.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be, just us correcting it all the time. My cousin owned one. Well, two of my cousins owned one because they were brothers. And I can remember playing a lot on Donkey Kong Country. They had that, which...
Was that the one that looked amazing?
Yeah, I can remember being wowed by that.
Just like, wow, it looks kind of real.
Yeah.
like the animation was because he was like walking along. I'm doing, you're not going to hear this, but I was like, it was like, running like that.
Like a proper gorilla run with Knuckles.
Yeah, I remember it looking really, really good. Yeah, definitely.
It was that and Mario Kart. They were the two that we used to play. Me and my brother, when we'd go round to my cousin's house, we'd play those. He might have had other games, but I can only remember them and maybe that Turtles game. So because I didn't own it, it's a bit. I'm like you, witness. I've got not much to say about it other than I did a couple of years ago bought a Raspberry Pi. It's in a NES case actually. I should have brought that to show you. And I emulated all the SNES and NES games, and I went back through and played some of the SNES games that I'd missed. And Earthbound were one of them. I don't even think it came out in England, that one. And that is a really good RPG for people.
You hear a lot about that, don't you? A lot.
Yeah,
you get like a boxed one. It's like a mint condition that's worth like a lot of money. They're quite rare, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, even the graphics still. I know they're not amazing, but they look a bit like what's it called? Undertale. I mean, Undertale's not a rip off for it, but it's heavily inspired by it. And it does look really good. And Metroid and Castlevania were the two that I wanted to try on it, and they were really good. But that's about it for SNES for me. If you've got anything to say about the SNES?
Yeah, I didn't own a SNES. We've already mentioned that, but for me, I knew a lot of people that owned a Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
I didn't feel right saying SNES then. I just felt like I had to roll off the Super Nintendo. I knew a lot of people that had a Super Nintendo. I played a lot of Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo was very good.
Yeah.
Even though I always fell off Rainbow Road.
That's the course I remember the most, is just dying on that constantly.
Because I hated it.
Yeah.
And it's like I refused to try to learn it. I just kept falling off. Donkey Kong Country. So I had a look I looked through lists of games. I looked through like top 50 games and other games, and just trying to find and trying to pull out those memories of what I used to play. And Super Mario Kart was a big one. Donkey Kong Country, I played at someone's house. And we've already mentioned that the actual animation that was quite frankly stunning. It's so fluid and it flowed so well. So Star Wing, Star Fox. It was called Star Fox in the US. Star Wing. It had that. I'm going to go off my head. I think it was called a Mode 7 chip. That they did this new chip, this 3D. Those like polygons, which because before that it would be sprite based, wouldn't it? So it would be like quite jerky as it moved. But this in Star Wing, it would just like flow. Like, remember that the ship pirate would flow. So did you ever play it at all?
I've seen it before. I don't think I played it.
No, it's so good. Even now you can play it and just enjoy it. It flowed really well. F-Zero was a racing game. Played a lot of that. One game that I did play a lot of was one of my favourite games on Mega Drive, which was Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 2 was brilliant, but Mortal Kombat 1 is the one that I played kind of like the most of. Now, on the Mega Drive, there was a cheat for blood, but on the Super Nintendo, there wasn't. You could not get a blood mode. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you could not get a blood mode on that. It looked nice. It was a little bit. Them graphics on them SNES were a little bit smoother. They looked a little bit nicer, but it played for me better. Even though it didn't look as good, but you had the blood. You having the gore. I mean, that's a win-win already, isn't it? You can punch someone. I mean, that was one of the original games that started all the KFOR with the ratings, wasn't it?
Yeah, certification
all that
thing. They developed it from it.
So Mortal Kombat played, for me, it was more fun on the Mega Drive, but it played equally well. Now, on the Mega Drive, I couldn't be beaten if I was Liu Kang.
Yeah.
But when I played on the Super Nintendo with, there was a friend of mine, and if he was Sonya Blade, like, people couldn't beat him. But I say that we'd kind of to and fro. I would be able to beat him with Liu Kang sometimes, but I was kind of, you get tuned into your own console with the Mega Drive and the pad and the way it worked. I was more focused. I had more hours on it, and I was just kind of better. Every now and again, I would beat him, and he would, like I say, he would beat me sometimes. But generally speaking, we kind of had it sorted on our own. Another game I want to mention is a really odd game called Uni Racers, where you was a unicycle, and it was like a curvy track, and you would kind of flow. Imagine not a unicycle kind of at this angle, but it would like flow like this on the track. It would jump and flip. You could get tricks, and you'd earn points and stuff like that. A very fun game. And the last game I want to mention, I'm not going to mention Mario because I didn't play a lot of Mario. I don't have a lot of memories of Mario on the SNES. But the other game I want to mention, and this is the last game on the SNES, was a game called Space Megaforce. Now, I linked you to a YouTube video the other day on this, and you were probably slightly underwhelmed, which is fine. But 20 years ago, well, more than 20 years ago now, playing that game, I like shoot 'em up. I've always liked my big favourite is Thunder Force. I think it's Thunder Force 4 or Thunder Force 5. It goes from left to right. It's a horizontal shoot 'em up game where you're in the spaceship. The sound effects, the way it looks, amazing. But on the SNES, Space Megaforce, it sounds like a new military unit that Donald Trump's just developed. Isn't he got a Space Force, hasn't he? So the Space Megaforce, it's the elite, the elites of the Space Force. That game was a vertical one, so he was at the bottom and you were shooting up, and I have so many good memories of that. It was at a friend's house, and I played a lot on that. So much fun, and I wasn't like even all that good at it, but I enjoyed it, and that's always been a bit of my thing with games. I might not be really good at them, but I do enjoy them, and I think that's fine. If you're enjoying yourself, just get on with it. Don't worry if you can ever beat that boss. It doesn't matter. Maybe eventually you will. But yeah, Space Megaforce. I advise having a look and looking at it if you ever, because there wasn't a lot. That's the thing about the SNES. There actually wasn't a lot of shoot 'em ups on there. But this is one of the ones that gets mentioned, and it's I can never remember the name of it. I always have to Google SNES shoot 'em ups, and it's very often in that kind of top 5, because there isn't a top 10, because there isn't that many. Despite there being, I believe, over 1,700 games that came out on the SNES.
I wouldn't believe that. I would have said it a lot lower, but
wait. I will look.
Yeah. I believe you, but from my experience, it feels like there was hardly any.
Now I've said it, you've made me question it, and I want to have a really super quick.
This is where you're looking at. We're actually 3,000.
It was 1,757 games were officially released for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. 700 in North America, plus 4 championship cartridges. Probably mentioned those. 521 in Europe. Oh, so you get more than us, America. Fine. 1,400 in Japan. Okay, all right. Oh, 231 on something called Satellaview. That sounds random. 13 on something called Safumi Turbo. Now I am reading off the internet, by the way, so yeah. Many SNES games. It just goes on to say many of them, like Mario World, Link to the Past, Donkey Kong, Earthbound, Super Metroid, Just Island, and the others are often cited to be the greatest video games ever made. But SNES definitely had it going on when it came with games.
Yeah.
There's no lie. There's no lie about that. You mentioned your SNES games, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's just onto N64 if you've got out about that.
Yeah, so N64, yeah, not a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I think I played it less than 5 times at a friend's house. I didn't go up around that often because when it came out, which was I've got this here. 1996 it came out, and yet again it was $199. There's a bit of a trend going on here. $199 when it came out in 1996. So nowadays that will be $327. So all very similar, although in reality, I guess a price drop for the Nintendo 64 in terms of how much it would be today. Nintendo 64. I played some GoldenEye at a friend's house, and it was okay.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that much to me. I'm like, everyone's like, GoldenEye was the best. I'm like, I don't care. But I understand how it's that popular. I understand that people absolutely love it, but I never did because I never owned it. And my memories are, I recently played Mortal Kombat 4. I think it was 4 on it, and my experience of that, wasn't the best. It was because it was. This was the era, we spoke about this before, when they've gone from sprite-based stuff onto the whole
wireframe, polygon, 3D.
Yeah, that 3D, and it's like they've gone back. I felt, for me, it was the worst time for games, and I don't think they've aged very well at all. One of the best ones, there was a fighting game called Virtua Fighter, which was like that kind of, you probably remember that was in the arcades quite a lot, and that wasn't, now it's just not that fun to play. It wasn't too bad then, but I didn't enjoy it then, and I think 1996 to sort of 2000, I think I played a lot less games. That was a time when I was at college. I think I started college in 96. Then I got a PlayStation 2. Yeah, it was that time where I didn't play that many games. I was just starting my family as well in 2000, and I think it was probably sometime after that kind of started playing again. But yeah, Nintendo 64, I remember it being lots of different colours. I remember that controller looking terrible. Like, just what was going off with it. I think it might be the worst controller ever made. To hold either side of it felt weird because there was this bit poking out the bottom.
You were supposed to hold the middle and then the right, not the left.
Yeah, I was clearly doing it all wrong because I never owned it, so I don't know. I was probably upside down as far as I know. Yeah, I don't. Bit of a fail with the N64 for me. But people do love it. They love Mario 64, don't they? You often hear that mentioned quite a lot. I know there's lots of love for the 64, but unfortunately, I don't have it. What about yourself? Did you have much of experience of the 64?
I didn't think I did, and then going through a list of games.
You didn't think you did? What is that? What you did?
From my memories are it, but it's influenced me quite a lot. Like looking back and remembering what games I played on it. I mean, I got it pretty late in the game. I think I would have been about 13 maybe when I got that. Might have been 12. I can't remember. 12, 13 when I got it, and I think the Saturn was out, and might have even got original Xbox came out like a year later or something like that.
Right.
But the games were quite expensive. I can remember them being like £50 in game, and you pay that now for a game. So to pay that,
yeah, just interjecting, that's a real good point. Is that I remember Mega Drive games being like, I think not Desert Strike or Jungle Strike or something like that. I remember that being like £60.
Yeah,
that's like nearly half as much as the console cost, and it's like, Jesus. I mean, I know you can buy special edition games now, but that was a standard cartridge. Here's a cartridge, here's a game, and it's £60. Oh, brilliant! Oh, lovely. No, you wouldn't. I mean, I guess it's because it was modern tech. People paid it because it was like cutting edge stuff. But looking back on it now, they were expensive.
Yeah.
Very
Ridiculously
very
expensive.
ridiculously expensive. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, sorry, Karen.
Yeah, and it's because of how expensive it were. I mean, there's a lot of games I played, but there's a lot of games that I didn't own. So what I basically did was swap games. So I'd find someone that had an N64 and be willing to swap again or borrow for a while.
Okay.
And the biggest game on that console for me was Ocarina of Time, and I know that game inside and out. I played it to death. There was a part on it about halfway through the game where you just become an adult and you have to do a bit.
It's like life.
Yeah, you have to do a bit in a graveyard, and it was before I had the internet or knew anyone that had the internet or anything. So I used to check on I think it was 555 on teletext on CFAX for like the gaming cheats, and they'd put a new cheat up for like a cheat page like every Tuesday or something, and I'd check and I'd hope that someone would put something on, and then one day I just worked it out, and it was literally something as stupid as pulling a grave in this graveyard to jump down to get like this hook shot thing, and it didn't click in my brain at all, and it always sticks out. And that game just, I mean, there is other RPGs like Final Fantasy 7 and stuff that played a part, but the graphics on it were beautiful. I mean, they're not too bad now. I know they've done like a 3D remake, but that game literally changed how I looked at games. That were an influential game. I also loved Mario 64, but I 100%ed everything that you could possibly do, and I swapped that for Ocarina of Time. I didn't own them at the same time because I knew someone that wanted to swap it because he'd done as much as he could do. I think he was stuck at the same place. I also played GoldenEye, same as you, but I loved it at the time. Because my cousin had it, and we had 4 control pads. So me, my brother, and my 2 cousins would play it.
Sorry, yeah, it had the 4 ports on the front, didn't it? Yeah.
So you could use that, and then I'm pretty sure this was before PlayStation. They had an analog stick because PlayStation had normal D-pad pad, and then like a few years later we got that analog button one where you could press it and turn it on.
What is that about?
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to do that. But
I don't remember ever using it. I think I remember pressing it, but never using it. Yeah.
And I loved it. Like you got like a mine that you could throw, and then you press the button on your watch, you could blow it up. I used to hide in like vents above toilets and chuck them in, so my brother or my cousin would walk in and I'd blow them up, and it would proper good. And I liked playing it, but I never actually owned that. I've got some more. I've got a list of games, but I don't want to keep going on. I'll just Banjo-Kazooie and Pod Racer and all. I've got some others, but Banjo-Kazooie, really good platformer. That holds up today. And Pod Racer,
you hear a lot about that. Yeah, you hear that a lot. Yeah,
Pod Racer is one of the best games, racing games that you'll ever play. I know people don't look favourably on the Phantom Menace, but if any good came out of that film, which I quite like, it's the Pod Racer games.
Controversial there.
Yeah, it's just such a good racing game. And then my other memory, they brought out a sequel to Ocarina of Time, and it called Majora's Mask, but it didn't work on the normal Nintendo. You needed an expansion pack that went in the back of the control pad, I think, or in the in the thing, which was like £200 or something on its own, which was like as much as a console.
It's a strap-on console, isn't it?
Yeah. And I had someone in my French class at secondary school who had the game and he had the expansion pack, and he would not borrow it me. He was like,
and he went missing one day. And then
he should have, because I had to play that game like 10 years later than everyone else, and I loved playing that. It's not as good as Ocarina, but it's still really good.
Was he a friend of yours?
No,
or was he a random?
It was an acquaintance, just because he was in my French class. I can't even remember his name, to be honest now. But
bonjour.
He would not lend it me. He said, "I'll lend you the game. Yeah, that's no problem, but I'm not lending you expansion packs. It's too expensive to lend." So I was like, so I tried to ask my mum to buy it, but she went paying like £200 for something that I wanted to play one game on. So.
And that she didn't understand.
Yeah, because she don't.
She would have bought you a SNES and got you to stick that in the back of your control pad or whatever.
Yeah. Don't these games work with SNES? For like, no, completely different. But
Yes, Mum.
That's
yes,
that's
yes, I do.
parents in the 80s and 90s for you, that not understanding technology properly. But that's
There's been problems now, though, hasn't there, with Xbox
people buying
and the Wii U,
old
the Wii and the
Xbox.
Wii U. That was another thing. But yeah. Sorry, is that your lot then on that? Is that it?
That's about it for N64. I know you've got some comments that you want to say. So
Yeah. So whether you know it or not, we do have a Facebook page, Sages Retreat podcast. Come and join it. Really, no, seriously, come and join it.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
And we need some new friends on there.
Yeah.
So I put up a post the other day. I says, looking forward to recording the Nintendo podcast at some point. Any thoughts on the consoles? And we have actually got some thoughts. Even though we think most of our friends are thoughtless, we have some. We have some thoughts, and I'm going to quickly run through them. I won't say any last names, but Steve, N64 was the first console that he had. He says, the first console that he'd saved up and bought with his own money. Moneybag Steve. I don't know what he was into them days, but I couldn't get that much money in them days. Maybe he bought it the other week. I don't know. But
as a child, I don't think. Well, I didn't see that much money till I was about 20. So as a child, he's done well.
That wasn't even first payday money. That was. So he bought it with his own money, and he loves it much. He even streams it, and I'll find Steve's stream, and I'll put it at the bottom of the. In fact, I'll put it in the description for him. What did I comment to that? Moneybag Steve buying his own console. So he does emulate as well for the stream, but he does also own the games that he emulates for it, because he'd be a naughty boy if he didn't.
Yeah.
And what else have we got? Adam. He brings up the N64 expansion pack. He needed it to play Perfect Dark. Moneybags Adam with that strap with the expansion pack. You should have known Adam back then. You'd have lent it right around the corner. He needed to play Perfect Dark. Oh, that's another game which gets mentioned a lot. He mentions GoldenEye, the 4-player multiplayer, and something to do with Odd Job, which I've heard a lot of before. Apparently he was like OP as far as characters go. It's
because he was shorter than the other characters. All the characters are the same height, other than Oddjob, because obviously he's vertically challenged. The way that you
short,
aimed,
fat little fucker.
The way that you aimed was rubbish in today's standards of how you would aim a gun. So you were sort of like, and you couldn't.
Oddjob would
you couldn't headshot him fast enough. Or I think you had to hold like R1 and use analog stick to be able to point that far down. So it was
right.
It were horrendous.
So they should have took him out then. Should have got rid of Oddjob.
Yeah.
He also mentions Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, which I played Street Fighter 2 on the SNES as well. It's pretty good. It was pretty good on there. However, I think the Mega Drive one was better because it was faster. He says it can't be better. SNES controllers brought in the shoulder buttons. It's true. The SNES controllers were pretty decent, weren't they? They were pretty decent. Although the the Mega Drive, of course, brought out the 6-button controller, which was brought out primarily for fighting games, wasn't it? Because you'd have your low, mid, and high punch, and then low, mid, and high kick, which was kind of needed. Well, it wasn't needed because I tended to just use medium all the time, because you don't want it too fast because it's like weak, and the strong kick or punch would just like I'm coming. So I just tend to use medium all the time. Brian, our lovely friend in America, he played all 3 growing up. Loved them. NES was fuzzy due to his age. Okay. What else did he put something else? He's got a lot of good memories of the SNES and N64 multiplayer games with friends and sleepovers. I mean, we don't do that a lot nowadays. With it being online, it's all
and adults.
Well, no, because you could still have people around to play games, but you wouldn't necessarily tuck them into bed, would you? No. I think that's the difference there, isn't it? What does he mention? Super Mario World, unlocking all the Star Road levels with his little cousin. Discovering secret levels, that was always fun. Before achievements, of course.
Before DLC.
Beating each other up in Street Fighter. Star Fox, Harry mentioned Star Fox, and we was mentioning about Star Wing. So Zelda, Link to the Past, and his first Final Fantasy game. He remembers getting the golden Zelda Ocarina of Time game for Christmas.
I didn't have the Ocarina of Time when I had the first Zelda one.
Brian, he still got it. Send it over.
Yeah, I'll have it.
Nathan wants it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was all our mentions on Facebook, which was great. It's great for the bit of interaction on there. Nice to get a bit of feedback, and it's great to bring it back to you on here. It's fun. It's fun to see what people have got to say. Everyone has different memories, and that's one of the core principles, I think, of a lot of the topics that we cover on this podcast. It's just, we're not out to spout facts. We're out to just kind of discuss about, real life, real people, and our real experiences that we have with stuff. Even if it's the Nintendo, it's kind of limited. Yeah. You talk to me about the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U. I'm on it, and that will be coming. But we'll probably be doing some separate ones for that. I think we can definitely cover a lot more with those consoles. I think we've discussed this, and we'll discuss it again at some point. But yeah, I think for those three that we've just talked about, they've definitely been a bit more limiting. But that's what it is. So yeah, I think we've pretty much sorted it. Yeah. Yeah,
that wraps things up then. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more from us. I've been Nathan.
And I've been Lee.
Yep. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
See you later. Thanks for joining us on this episode. You can find us on various podcast platforms, including Spotify and Google Podcasts. Come and find us on Facebook, YouTube, and also we now have a Twitch channel where we're going to attempt to do a weekly stream.